Hello, welcome back to another video on the channel where healing and spiritual growth are front and center. This video shout out goes to an Alvin. Thank you for your continued support. And I wanted to dive into this, a little bit of story time, okay? I got a fellow warrior who has given permission, all right, to share, because this helps you all right, that have experienced or are experiencing the exact same kind of stuff. Okay, with these narcs out here, the narcissistic abusers, okay? Because remember, what does God tell us? Okay, that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And this just illustrates what God is talking about here. Right, these narcissistic abusers, they are disobedient to God. They do everything opposite of what God tells them to do and not to do. And it's deliberate. Okay, we learned this. It's all part of them with that double mind, trying to keep the confusion going, okay, that contradiction. And then also trying to annoy their targets, all right? This is why we're big on that inner work, okay? All part of that healing process, so that it no longer annoys us, because we know exactly where it's coming from, we know where it's coming from, and who it belongs to, and it does not belong to us. Okay, because that's what they like to do. They like to be annoying. Alright, because once they can see that something annoys you or irritates you, they're going to do more of it. Okay, so once it no longer irritates or annoys us, because we see exactly what that's what they're trying to do, get us to internalize their irritation and their annoyance, we go, we shut it off. Okay, remember that our empathy is the spiritual energy conduit. Alright, and that's why we learn how to manage and control our empathy, so that we don't get tricked into internalizing that stuff. It doesn't belong to us. That's not coming from the Godhead within. Okay? So, a great way to get rid of a narc. Okay. Our fellow warrior, got limited contact with the Jezebel. And so, the fellow warrior was busy on one task. And so the Jezebel comes over, and the fellow warrior told, the Jezebel asked where something was. The fellow warrior told the Jezebel where it was. And so, since the Jezebel was going to that other room, okay, up in one of the rooms to get whatever it was, I forget that original thing, but the fellow warrior said, while you're there, will you bring me a regular envelope, not the big manila one, but the other one, the regular, it'll be a bigger, regular white one, okay, a mailing envelope, not the manila one, the big one, but one of the other one. And so, what did the Jezebel bring back? You guessed it, the manila envelope. They do that stuff on purpose, y'all, seriously. So the fellow warrior speaks up and says, speaks up and told the Jezebel, that's not the right one. And so what did the Jezebel do? Almost literally banged her head on the counter and called herself stupid or whatever. See, y'all gotta be careful. This is why these narcs do this to themselves. They don't realize that, what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so when the narcs keep telling themselves that they're stupid, well, guess what? So shall it be. Okay? I mean, it's not complicated. This is why we stop telling ourselves negative stuff, because we know it's not true anymore. But they don't realize that they're doing it to themselves when they speak that out into existence and tell themselves that. Okay, well, that's what they get. We reap what we sow. Right? But after that, and so the fellow warrior said, it's alright, I'll go get it. So the fellow warrior goes up to the room and gets the correct envelope, to come back and find what? The Jezebel went back home, just left. And I told her, I said, that's really kind of a good way to get rid of one. Is ask them to do something that they don't really want to do. And then they'll pull one of those shenanigans on purpose, and then you go to correct it, come back, they're gone. So that really is a brilliant way to get rid of one if you need to. I'm just going to leave that there for y'all. Seriously. That really is. And then here's another way. Right? Seriously. If you've got one that happens to just want to be like that annoying fly on a hot dog at a picnic, okay. If you've got one that's doing that, All right, and for whatever reason, you have limited contact. Okay, there are tons of situations out here, y'all. That's why we're big on the ones we can go 100% no contact with, we do. But God understands that, we're going to have limited contact because we're overcoming evil with good. All right, because we're not going to listen for all situations are different. Okay, and so remember, limited contact. It's basically we cut them off at the soul level. Okay. Until God delivers us out from under that. Alright? And learn more lessons, whatever it is. Okay? God will. He always does. He always delivers us out from these things. Okay? Seriously. Alright? And then we find ways to protect our peace. And we don't let them, get under our skin and things like that. We see what they're doing. And we know where it's coming from and all of that. Okay? But another great way, if you're needing to kind of get rid of one, besides you leaving yourself, but let's say it's your house, it's your resident, and you don't have to leave, and let's say you didn't invite them over. Let's face it, y'all, these narcissistic abusers are notorious for showing up uninvited. Oh, let's drop that in the comments below. Alright, y'all, I know some of y'all got some stories to share that can help some others as well, and myself, because we've seen many of these narcissistic abusers do that. They come uninvited a lot. Alright, remember, because they're rude. Alright, they're rude. Many of us have always been like, excuse me, common courtesy, and they also try to invite themselves over. Yeah, let that sink in. Narcs are notorious for that. Whereas two fellow chosen ones who are, let's say, negotiating, brainstorming or planning a trip together, and so we negotiate back and forth. Alright? But we don't invite, no, and no. Okay? We do not invite ourselves over to other people's houses like that. We don't show up unannounced. What? That's not normal behavior to do stuff like that. But that's what these narcs do. Okay? They don't, that's right. Alright? But let's say one did that. Alright? And so another great way to get rid of them, is not just by asking them to do something. Okay? But basically, tell them something that you don't necessarily, it's not a secret, okay? It's not something that it's going to matter if they go blab about, okay? Something simple, what have you, okay? And you can tell them, hey, did you know, blah, 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 and let's say it's a popular or trending thing, whatever, and that they can find it at, let's say, insert item here. Hey, did you know that insert item here is really popular and it's available at such and such? Oh, watch them run out that door real quick to go buy it. I kid you not. Alright, that or to go and see for themselves. Alright, and then lock the door. Alright, seriously. Lock the door. Alright, hopefully they don't have a reason to have a key. Alright, and lock the door. Alright, so there's many different ways. So let's drop some of those in the comments. If y'all have some additional tips that can help out as far as, ways to get rid of one if we must, okay? Because let's face it, when they do their little stunts like that, it's a waste of God's time. And they often will do it when they see us busy working on something. See, that's another shenanigan they like to pull. Is that when they see that we are busy working on a task, whatever it is that God has instructed us to do, and we're working diligently on it, to get it done, they want to constantly, that's just another way they like to interrupt. Okay, so that's really the theme here, alright, is that they like to interrupt, okay, whatever it is we're doing, as they want to distract us from it. Remember, they're always trying to thwart us off of God's path, trying to keep our focus off of what God has us working on. That's something that we come to learn, okay? So whether it be the fact that God got us, let's say, preparing a dish, okay, a meal of sort, or working on homework, or, designing something for, let's say you've got a business, or designing something for it, or making plans, or whatever it is that God said needed to get done. Alright, whatever. Does not matter. Let's say you're remodeling the house. What have you. It doesn't matter. Insert whatever there. Okay. And they will come in and deliberately try to interrupt, all right, to distract, to get our attention, to thwart us off of God's path, whatever God has us working on. Okay, so that's a huge one. And so a lot of time when they try to do that, we need tips on how to get rid of them. Okay, so that we can get back to focusing. And I have gone so far, you all, as to be, we are to be bold. Okay, yeah, because the righteous are bold as a lion, but in a nice way. All right, you all, seriously, that's not being, again, that, God said we're not to have that high-mindedness. We're not going to be arrogant or anything like that about it, but we speak with conviction. And I've gone so far as to put my foot down, and I was like, I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm working on something. You're going to have to wait till later. If it's something that they might be asking our help with or whatever. And we learned, too, that they don't really want our help. Because a lot of the stuff they try to ask our help with, they know how to do themselves. Okay, we find this out later. All right, but let's say it is something that they don't know. We know. All right, we'll know whether or not they know how to do it or not. All right, and let's say it is legitimately something they don't know how to do, but it's not an emergency. Even though it's an emergency in their mind, we know darn well that it's not. It's something that can wait until after we get finished with what it is we're working on. Okay? Yeah, they aren't going to like it, but that's too bad. Okay? Because that's part of, that's your boundary. Okay? That's your boundary. Like, really? Because they want to, because remember, they themselves really can't keep focus. Okay? They can't keep focus for long to get something done. Whereas God chosen, we have the ability to learn new things and to, stay on it to get something done. Okay? And so, that's just the way it is. Leaving things undone. And I know a lot of us, we got tricked into, because by the narc, we got tricked into starting several things. And the reason we could not, at that time, get back to it to finish it is because we kept getting interrupted by the narcs, getting distracted before we knew what was going on, all right? But now, once we catch on to what they're doing and we learn, the roles get reversed. Remember, the last shall be first and the first shall be last. So that's exactly what's happening here. As we learn how to set those boundaries, tell them no, and all of that, okay? And so if they do that, they want to try to interrupt, trying to ask our help with something, trying to pull us off of what it is that God's got us working on, we learn ways around that resistance, okay? And yeah, so always got to analyze the situation first, obviously, right? Okay. So, once we've done that, though, we assess the situation. Because, let's face it, if it is an emergency and you have limited contact with them or what have you, okay, but that's all about that discernment. Because not everything is an emergency, you all right? But to a narc, everything is. Because remember, they blow things out of proportion. Everything's always the bigger deal than it really is. All right, so that's why that discernment comes in. To know whether or not something is or is not. Alright, and that, the Godhead in here, your intuition will tell you. Alright, you'll know. Okay, so for example, let's say it's something they want to know how, let's say they don't know how to, I'm going to give y'all an example. Say they don't know how to download an app for whatever reason. Let's say they don't. Okay, this is hypothetical. Okay, this is not assuming, this is a hypothetical example. Alright, to help y'all put it in perspective. Alright, and so we can ask them the question, alright, well, is it something that is, got to get done, is it, well, they will say, yeah, it's an emergency, so we don't want to ask them that, but is it something that you need right this minute? Well, no, not really. Okay, then it can wait, all right, until you're finished. Then you can go and show them how to do it, all right, if because many of us, let's face it, we know how to at least do that, right, but not every narc knows how, all right, not everyone does, but, it's one of those things. Okay, so all about that assessment and then the discernment and then that time to think about it for a second. Remember, narcs don't like to give us the time to think. Okay, so keep that in mind. So when they try to interrupt, okay, right, and try to ask us something or whatever, or to pull us off of whatever it is God has us working on, we learn. We don't let them. Okay, we figure this out, get around that resistance that they're trying to cause. They're trying to cause resistance. Okay, that's why a lot of us ended up with our dreams, goals, passions, and all that on the back burner. Alright, so when God gets us into our purpose and starts bringing all of that stuff back to the forefront, saying, alright, we need to pick this back up and then start learning new things to go with it and start, okay, get back to it. Alright, our talents, our gifts, and all of that. And so as God brings it all back, we unpack that bag, alright, and we learn different ways to get rid of these narcs when they try to interrupt like that. And then, really, the biggest tip, and I know for myself and many others, well, if it happens to be in a shared residence with some other, let's say at least part-time narcs or whatever, well, just go to our room, walk away, and continue to pray for them to leave. Okay? For example, got a Jezebel neighbor, and they just pop over uninvited because, what they do, right? Okay, and so I just get out of the room and wait for them to leave. Go work on something. There's always something for us to be working on, right? There you go. So we've always got stuff to do. All right, we're not sitting here idle. Because remember, yes, an idle mind is the devil's playground. We're going to leave it on that note for you all on that one. Okay, because that's what these narcs have, is an idle mind. And that is the devil's playground. All right, everybody. As always, if you have any questions, you know where to reach me for additional information, insight, and other good stuff. You can check out these videos right here. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Until next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.